gonna get everything set up here. Grab something to drink, and we're started. You at home?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna grab something to drink real quick. When do you head to your next tournament?
Not till like the 25th, something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, got a little time off. Got a boat to rig, some guide trips to run.
Bass or
Stuff.
walleye?
Walleye.
Nice. They getting some fish up by you?
I really haven't talked to anybody. I haven't. I've been so far out of the loop and doing other stuff that I have no idea. They should be. If they're not now, it will be soon.
Sure. I got a trip tomorrow. Gonna head to the Wolf and check and see how that is.
Yeah.
Curious to see how that water temperature dropped. I don't know, 4 or 5 degrees. All right.
You've been out a lot in the boat?
Yeah, it's been probably one of the best springs I can ever remember on the Wolf, that's for certain.
Yeah.
All right.
Hanging out in the boathouse. Isn't that what you named
it?
There you
The
go.
boat. Yep. Yeah, it's been a project, that's for certain. I got to finish the railings on the loft yet and put up a little bit of trim, and then finish the bar top and put some stone around the bar, and she's complete. And I can not have to spend any money or any time on this thing anymore. I know a lot of people, they know me better, that 8 o'clock they'll show up. I usually am pretty spot on with starting at 8. So how did oh, one second.
Got a bunch of spinnerbait glitter in my eye.
How'd the storm hit you guys up by you?
We only got like, I don't know, maybe 3 inches of just slushy, wet crap, but I guess like 15,000 people lost power.
Holy buckets. Yeah, we lost a lot of power, trees, and I think we ended up with probably close to 10, 11 inches, but it was all that heavy wet stuff. So when I plowed, I went out about maybe 10 o'clock or so, 9, 10 o'clock, and I had a good 10 to 12 inches. And when I woke up in the morning, everything was so compacted down, and we had rain, and it was, I don't know, it was 40 some degrees, so it was already starting to melt. But what a mess! That wind was just howling.
Yeah, screw that. I was wondering why I came back home.
Where's the next one?
We go to Logan Martin, Alabama.
Okay. And those are the opens again, right?
Yeah. Yep. 6 more
Nice.
opens, handful of other tournaments, and then the nation championship.
Okay. So as far as qualifying for the classic again for next year, what's obviously if you win an open, but what are the other ways you can qualify?
For me, basically, I have to win an open or take a top 3 in the nation championship.
Okay.
Uh, cool thing with that, like the winner of the nations gets an elite berth as well.
Winner as far as points go for the year?
No, it's just one tournament. So that one I won on Eufaula, was that back in February?
Yep.
If you made the top 20 in that tournament, you got to qualify for the nations. And there's like
Okay.
250 boats in it. They give out three classic berths and one elite berth. So that's back on Grand Lake in November.
Okay.
Pretty stoked for that one.
Well, you're gonna learn. You learned enough that you should be able to figure it out. But those fish will be probably post spawn by that time, won't it? Or when is that tournament?
November. They'll
Oh,
be
cripes.
yeah, they'll be chewing.
Well, yeah, now people are starting to jump on. I appreciate you joining me, man. It's been fun watching you. I was totally bummed when I couldn't make it down there. And I think I sent Greg all the information. Did he get a chance to pay Allie yet? Do you know?
I have no idea. I haven't even really talked to her about anything.
Okay, all right. I'll send her a text. Um,
Yeah, no worries.
so I don't know if you can see the comments in that too. That says, "Tell Adam his parents missing him, and we hope to see him again someday." The guy is too darn busy.
Yeah.
That's funny. You know, that's one of the biggest things that I don't think gets talked about enough is how much we sacrifice, being away from family life. And I mean, it's taxing not only on us, but the wife and the kids and everybody else. I know Xander now too. He's getting to be that age where he's 8 years old and all he wants to do is fish with dad. And when I take people out, he's always like, "How many you got in the boat today? Is there room for me?" Every single day he wants to get out, and it's it sucks. But on the other hand, we do have a job to do, and we got all summer here. I can't wait to get those guys out fishing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Whether it's guiding or fishing tournaments, like anything in the industry, you're going to be gone from home, regardless.
Yep. So I want to back up. I know you've been doing these podcasts, and I'm sure it's the same questions over and over again. And I want to try and mix it up a little bit. But let's go back to when you first started. You and it was Phil Schweik, right? You guys were doing the hook setters things up in Wausau.
Yeah, yeah. I started. He kind of took me under my wing when I started guiding, and uh, that's that's where I started. And then I grew from there and moved to Sturgeon Bay and scrapped all that and started over, and then just decided to get my fingers into more stuff, keep me busy.
So I mean, we ice fished a lot together. We did a lot of stuff around here. And, you guys were up in northern Wisconsin. Why just all of a sudden start chasing bass? I mean, what brought you to do that?
Uh, I've always had fun fishing for them since I was a little kid, and unfortunately, like the way I made my living, that was you have to go make a paycheck before you do anything else. But I always find myself on my days off out bass fishing. Like that's what I truly enjoyed. Um, and then years went by, and eventually I became, to the point where I could financially do it. Like it's definitely not a cheap thing. I mean, if you want to go fish 9 opens, you better be prepared to throw $60,000 in the garbage. If you don't cash a check, don't win a tournament, it's not cheap. But I had the backing from some sponsors and, support from my family. And so I decided to start doing it in 2021. And with two goals, one being fishing in a classic, and the next goal being fishing in the Elite Series. And we got one down, and I can tell you right now, it will not be my last classic. Like I will be fishing some more of those. That's hands down the coolest thing ever. I've never even been to one, so I didn't get to see all the cool, stuff at the expo and everything else. Like I was fishing, like I came through an arena, weighed my fish, and got drug away. But it's pretty cool.
It was my dream, and I told my wife, and I was like I said, I was so stoked. I'm like, this is going to be the year to go. You've got you, Jay Shakurit, Josh Wiesner, and Gussie. Four friends fishing the classic. That don't happen too often, and unfortunately, some family stuff came up, and didn't get a chance to make it. But I guarantee you, I will be there for sure next time you're there. But I definitely want to get there next year. And it's in Texas, I think, next year, right?
Yeah, Fort Worth, I believe.
Okay. So, you started guiding, got into, doing some bass tournaments. One of the things that you just said was, the expense. How does the bass stuff compared to the walleye stuff?
It doesn't matter. Like you still have your entry fee, you have fuel, you have lodging. I mean, the walleye stuff, and I used to do that. You have 4 or 5 tournaments. You go to the opens, you have 9, and your travel is, twice as far. Um, a close drive for me is 12 hours to, 26, depending on where we're going. So you used to have a lot more cost. You have more tournaments that cost more. You have more fuel, and then probably buy more freaking tackle than you do walleye fishing.
Why is that? I mean, just
Uh, I don't know. It's kind of
you
stupid. Like it's just a fish. Like you shouldn't need all this stuff, but you just get wrapped into all of it.
you watch these guys and they throw the same bait for 3, 4 straight days. That's it. They might have, a jerk bait or swim bait and a jig, and that's it. So I question all these guys that got, 3,000 baits in their boat. You're throwing the same jig every single day.
Yeah, I mean, you're always trying to like get an edge and try something different, but when it comes down to crunch time, like you're gonna throw what you know you can catch fish on.
Yeah. So that being said, what type of fish? I mean, we fish a lot of smallies, and that's kind of your roots, fishing smallies and stuff up on the bay. Do you take a lot of that knowledge and skill set and transfer that towards the fish that you guys are chasing down south, or is it totally different?
No, I would say it's more like just fish in general. Doesn't really matter if I was fishing down south every day or when I'm up here guiding every day. I might be on a walleye trip, a bass trip, a salmon trip. Like fish are fish. They all need the same thing. They need some kind of cover and they need food. And the bass down south are no different. They need cover and food. Um, but the more time you spend chasing, like I think what's benefited me is just chasing multiple species all my life. I have learned just fish behavior, and it's adaptable to bass fishing too. It's they're not any different than catching a smallmouth on the bay or catching walleye. They might relate to different cover because the waters are different down south, but as long as you can adapt those things and like forage and how they relate to forage, that's kind of the key.
And I'll have to agree with you on that aspect as far as being a multi-species angler. I do a lot of everything. You've done a lot of everything and a lot of different. You're on up north flowages. You're on rivers. You're on the Great Lakes. You're on small inland lakes. And I think if you add all that stuff up, really isn't much difference compared to anywhere else in the country. It all kind of relates to the same. The only thing that I would question is, some of those, like where you guys were at down in Grand and some of these big flowages down south that are, super, super deep, where the water fluctuates, greatly, throughout the season. How do you conquer something like that? Just being, one guy. It's taken us 20 years to learn some of these waters around here. How do you go down and just figure something like that out, on a new body of water?
It's fairly simple. I mean, the one thing I've learned, like river fishing, I grew up on the Wisconsin River, and if the water's falling, the fish fall with it. If it's rising, they rise with it. Like if the water's going up, you go back as far as you can go. If it's falling, then you got to find those places where they're coming out, to deeper water. It's the same thing, only it fluctuates a lot more down there. Like it can move, feet in a day. Um, but you just take those basic concepts with you and put those to use, and it's not as hard as everybody thinks. It's not easy. Like I'll say that they're a hell of a lot smarter down there. They get fished for 12 months out of the year. Our fish get fished for maybe 6 months. Bass wise, we maybe have like a 6 month season to fish them, and that's it. The rest of the year it's covered in ice. Those fish are constantly receiving pressure, and there's not as many lakes down south either, so you're putting more boats on the few lakes that there are. So they do get a little trickier to catch, and you kind of got to come up with your own ways to outsmart them a little bit, but it all comes down to they have to eat, they have to have a place to live. Um, you figure that out, you're in the right direction.
Gotcha. What's been the most exciting part of all this, bass fishing stuff over the last few years? I take away not the classic, but I mean, what have you learned? What's been the fun part of doing all this?
Uh, I don't know, dude. It's all fun. Meeting new people. I've met so many people along the way. Um, some interesting characters from around the country, and just hanging out with other people and drinking some beers and giving your thoughts on stuff. That's cool. Dude, just I like traveling to new lakes. Like I love going to lakes I've never been to before and knowing nothing about them, and go out and put your work in and figure it out. That's what I like.
That's pretty rewarding. So, when we all fished walleye tournaments and traveled with all the walleye guys, you got your teams that you hang with. Is that are you doing that on the bass side of things?
Not really. I mean, there's a few guys that I travel with. We'll get a VRBO and split it up and, hang out and talk a little bit about fishing and whatever at night. But it's not like to the extreme that walleye fishing typically is, where you're like splitting money and you're trying to get everybody on the same fish. So everybody cashes a check or everybody makes money after the deal. It's not like the walleye.
Uh-oh, lost you there for a second. Are you back?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Now we got you. All right. So, in with the Elite Series, are they even allowed to share any information? Uh-oh, we lost them. We'll see if he comes back here. He'll come back. Guys, if you have any questions for Adam, myself, or anything, just type it in the comments. We can see everything. Appreciate you, everybody, joining in tonight. Just as an update, we'll talk about the conditions here on the river after we're done chatting with Adam. Fishing reports. Fish are just absolutely insane. It's been definitely one of the best bites on the wolf I've seen in many, many years. Now with this water coming up, hopefully we get some warm weather next week. It's looking that way, and we should be, sitting real good for on the way back. There he is.
I'm back.
All right, he's back. um, so I was asking a question as far as like the elite series. Are those guys even allowed to share any information at all?
They can share info with other anglers in the same tournament, but they're not allowed to talk to anybody else and get any info at all.
Okay. So that's a lot different than what the walleye guys. I mean, walleye guys, you're sharing information and programs and everything, and you guys there, from what I understood, can't even really talk unless, and if there is, I think some information being shared, don't you have to share it to the whole field?
No, like, I can talk to the guys I'm rooming with, and that's fine as long as they're in the tournament. If you're not in the tournament, like I can't talk to you about anything. You can't share anything with me. And then we have like the elites that's how it is all year. After the schedule is announced, like you can't talk to anybody about it. In the opens, we have cutoff periods. This year we have a a 2 week cutoff before practice starts. So we're allowed to gather whatever we want up until that 2 week cutoff, and then after that, we best not be talking to anybody.
Gotcha. Um, so we go up to Sturgeon Bay, and when are the tournaments up there? When what do we got? The Sturgeon Bay Bass Open.
Yeah, that one's the 3rd week of May. The Adrian's Memorial Tournament is the 2nd week of May, and then I think Gary Nault's tournament's like the Thursday, Friday before opening weekend this year.
Okay. Are you fishing all of them?
I'll be doing the Adrian's one and the Open. I'll be down
Okay.
south during the other one.
Gotcha. So, not to give any secrets away or anything like that, but for guys that want to go out and hit the bay, when's a good time to start looking? And how does a guy go about tackling some of these fish on the up on the bay right now?
I mean, you can probably start catching them right now. I think the water's, maybe high 30s, 40. Obviously, it gets better once it gets up into the mid to upper 40s. Then they'll start coming in and staging. But the whole key up here is water temperature. They'll move so much. Like you're looking for, if everything is 48 degrees and you can find that spot where it's like 50 or 51, they're all going to be right there. And that water will move, the wind will change, currents change, that'll move that water. And you better find it again. That's the recipe in the springtime. Like, I don't care what your GPS says, what your depth says, like, look at your temperature gauge. You'll find that warmer water, and then that's where you want to start. That's where they're all going to be.
And are they chasing that warm water because that's where the bait's hanging out for the most part?
Yeah, I would imagine, that's where all the bait fish are going to be. They're going to be up there getting warm as well. Those females have to get up in that warmer water to help in the fertilization process or whatever. I'm not a scientist, but whatever you want to call it. Like they have to get their eggs ready to spawn. They have to get them warm. So they're going to want to go sit in that warmer water and follow it around. That's where the food is. And it's no different than, say you go over to Ocano and you're going to go walleye fishing. Everything's 43 degrees and you find one pocket that's 46. Where do you think you're going to catch them all? You're going to catch them all where it's 46. It's the same deal. That's just typical spring fishing, no matter what the species is.
Yeah, and that's such a key to any species. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's panfish, walleyes, bass, muskie. I mean, everything follows temperature. And
Yeah.
when it's cold like this, anytime you can find a degree or two, warmer, you're gonna find fish. And I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, this goes back to the days I was working with Ron Stallings and TJ Stallings from uh, TTI, or was it Blakemore, TTI Blakemore, True Turn Hooks, and that. And I was talking to those guys at with Wally Marshall. We were down at a Bass Pro Shops for one of the spring events, and we were talking about water temperature and the studies that they have done. They suggest that 1 degree to a fish is like 10 degrees to a human. So if that water temperature is up, 1 or 2 degrees, that's like a 20-degree temperature swing for us. What do we do when it gets warmer, 20 degrees warmer? We get a little bit more active, and same thing goes with the fish. So I don't know if you see that kind of the same thing, because a degree or two is all it takes sometimes.
It doesn't take much. And even I've seen so many days where they might be there and not biting, and that water warms up a half a degree or a degree, and all of a sudden it triggers them to start feeding. It's
Yep.
uh, it's definitely the most. I tell people it all the time in the spring, like pay attention to your water temperature. Like that's the only thing you need to pay attention to. Pay attention to that. Obviously, pay attention to the wind and where that water might be going, but that's like the ultimate key in springtime fishing.
Yep. And it's played true every day so far this spring on the river. I know it's been really cold here the last couple of weeks, and we don't even really start fishing till 8, 9 o'clock, because that 7 to 8 o'clock, you might as well forget about it. And if it's cloudy out, and it takes a little bit longer to warm up that water, but all you got to do is find a shallow sand flat or something that's half a degree or a degree warmer, and you'll see the walleyes just you can watch them. There'll be none there. It'll warm up, and you'll just watch them slide up into that
Yeah,
shallow, and they'll just sit there and bake, and just doing exactly what you said. They're preparing their eggs, getting ripe, and getting ready for spawning. And when you find it, just start gassing to them, because they eat.
yep, absolutely. It's the same. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Like those fish they need sun and warmth to get their eggs ready. They can't, sit in that cold water forever. So they're gonna search out the warmest stuff, get warm, be happy. That'd be like I'm sitting on the back porch in the shade, and it's kind of cool outside and the sun's on the front porch and it's 15 degrees warmer. I'm going to go sit on the front porch.
Yep.
It's the same thing. You're going to go where you're more comfortable.
Yep. Well, I guess let's for the people that are watching, give us a story of the classic. I mean, you get down there, you're practicing, and what are you finding out? What do you think it's going to win? How do you dissect on what you're going to do to win it? Because knowing you're not going down there to place. You're going down there to win the damn thing, and you're not really looking for middle of the pack. You're looking to win it. So give us, tell us the story. What happened?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I had been to Grand in 2021, the first year that I started fishing down south. I fished a tournament there. Kind of knew, I kind of remembered the lay of the lake. I went and pre-practice for a couple days, looked around, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember it now. It's it's kind of I guess I would say it's more of like a power fishing lake. Like you're not going to be chucking a spinning rod around. Like you can throw a crankbait, a spinner bait, a jig, obviously a jerk bait. Um, you can throw some stuff that you can cover some water with some big line, and it's just kind of how the lake sets up, and it kind of reminds me of the Wisconsin River in a way. It's kind of the same type of deal. There's a little bit of current in it. So I went down there. Jay Chakurt and I actually got down there a few days early and fished some other lakes in the area just to get an idea what the water temp was, so we had a starting point when we got there. And, all the other lakes around, it was low to mid 50s. So we knew like they're definitely going to be pre-spawn yet, which was perfect for me. I wanted to go catch them, offshore on brush piles if I could. And I already had a lot of them marked. I caught some during practice doing that. And, I spent a lot of time graphing, marking more piles, just making sure I wouldn't run out of stuff to fish. So then it ended up getting warm. We practiced Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. Excuse me. Wednesday was like an official practice day. We got 8 hours. Wednesday I didn't go anywhere near where I found my fish, where I planned on fishing the tournament. Because I didn't want to sting any, and B, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to get in my own head. If I went there and I didn't get a bite, I'd be like, now what am I gonna do? Like all my fish are gone. So I didn't want to screw with any of that, get my own head. So I just went and fished other water. And I kind of had the feeling that they're already moving. Then we have 2 more days before the tournament starts. So knowing that, I went out with an open mind. I had an area of the lake that I liked, that I know that it's the best looking spawning creek in the entire lake. There's a ton of bait around. I know there's a ton of fish there because I fished there in 2021. So I just, I'm going to fish this part of the lake, and I just need to go figure out where they are, what they're biting the day of the tournament. And actually ended up like, I thought I was going to be fishing in 15 to 20 feet of water, and I caught them all on day one in like 4 to 6. So they had moved that much already. And then we had a cold front. They slid back out, and like it was just nonstop chasing them. But you had to keep an open mind, get that first bite. That's a clue, and then run with it, the rest of the day. And the next day, basically forget about what you did and start over again.
So that's frustrating, man. And we were watching, and it seemed like a lot of guys were fishing shallow, trying to figure out that shallow bite, and all they were catching were dinks. I mean, just tons and tons of small fish. But then you and Jay and some of these other guys were out in that deeper water on those mid-lake brush piles, getting some of those bigger fish. Did anybody get anything shallow, or did you find anything shallow?
I didn't really fish, up on the bank or anything. I just didn't feel like it was that time where they're going to be up that shallow. We're like a week away from it being that. And I was kind of hoping the whole time during practice, I'm like, man, please don't get warm. Like keep these fish out a little bit, because once they get on the bank, it's just not my strong point. I haven't done it that much down south. I'm better off staying offshore a little bit if I can. And I know I talked to a few guys the last day of the tournament, and like one guy broke off like 3 giant ones, and like they were up dirt shallow spawning. So that's how quick it changed. Like by the last day of the tournament, there were already fish, moving up to spawn. I'm sure there were some spawning, even before we got there. It's kind of interesting down south, like here on the bay, it lasts, 3, maybe 4 weeks. Some of those lakes down south, there's so many bass, like the spawn will last like 2 or 3 months.
Holy buckets.
So you'll have some early ones, and then you'll have the big wave, and then you always have some late ones coming up. But just the way everything was, water temperature wise, time of year, I just felt that they'd be just off of that stuff where they're going to spawn. And that's, where I started my search, and that's where I ended up fishing.
So you're going through practice, you're getting fish, you're seeing, kind of what's happening. What did you think it was going to take each day to win that?
I think my guess with Bassmaster, I got an interview on it, was like 58 to 61 pounds. And I think I was right on the money. I think 58 is what Hamner had. So
Yep.
that's just typical Grand Lake. Like, it takes almost a 20-pound a day average. Anytime you're there, there's a lot of good fish in there, and that's just the way the lake is. It's a lot of these lakes, like, they all take a certain amount each day, and you can look at past tournaments, like, it doesn't lie. Like, if you can look at all the past tournaments, combine all that stuff together, there's your average. That's what you have to catch.
Okay. Were there any moments, first day we obviously we didn't have the cameras on you to watch. But all 3 days, was there any oh shit moments that's like you screwed up, or you lost a big one, or anything that you could look back on and say, if this wouldn't have happened?
Uh, yeah, I only had one of those moments, and it was day 3, and I still see it probably 15 times a day. But it's I don't like complaining about losing fish. I mean, everybody loses fish. It's part of the game. But I had not lost a fish all week that would have mattered. And the final day, I could see one on my Mega Live. It's sitting on a stump, and it's just a great big blob. And I flip my jig over. I watch him go down, shake it twice. He eats it. Set the hook, rod doubles over. I get like 2 or 3 head shakes. I'm like freaking giant. And like those big ones, you'll get a couple head shakes, and then they just start swimming. I'm talking like when you get like a 6 or 7, 8 pounder on, like they just start going, and there's no controlling them. And I'm fishing with 17-pound fluoro and a bait caster and a jig. Like, I buckled down on him, and he took me across the stump and think, like, just like that. Like, I've never broke one off like that in my life. I snapped it off, like, it happened in a split second. Yeah, that was probably the one. Didn't see it, but I've caught enough of them to know what they feel like. Like, that was probably the one. Like, that one's gonna haunt me for a while.
Yep. Whether it be hunting or fishing, there's always that one that I'm finally getting over the buck that I missed opening weekends. I'm finally not having nightmares about it every night. But it took me till about 2 weeks ago to not have that. So I feel your pain, man. That sucks.
That's probably the thing that keeps everybody coming back, though. If everything worked out perfect, like, why would you go do it again?
Right?
I mean, nothing ever
Then
works out
everybody can
perfect.
do it.
Yeah, nothing ever works out like it should. Like, that's what keeps you going back and keeps you wanting to do it. I can promise you, I'm going to fish harder than I've ever fished before to get back to another classic. Like, it was a riot. Coolest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, if people out there have never been to a classic, you got to go to it. It's insane. It's the
I mean,
coolest
it's the
thing.
Super Bowl of fishing.
Yeah,
Everything about it is cool.
take the fishing out of it. Like, we had people come down from Wisconsin that they don't know anything about fishing. They know who I am and that I love bass fishing. Like, they came down to support me. They don't know anything about what it takes to go and do it. They don't know anything about it. And I talked to some of them afterwards, and it's like, they're like, this is the coolest thing like we have ever been to. Absolutely awesome time. They don't know anything about fishing, and they had a blast. So that tells you right there that it is the Super Bowl.
Yep. Forever. I mean, I can remember having that dream playing the video games, the Bassmaster Classic video games on like
Yeah.
Super Nintendo or whatever the heck it was. That goes back to when we were kids, and the bass side of things, it's just never got into my blood. I don't have any interest in really doing it. Watching you guys, it sparks the competition, and maybe get me to go out and throw some baits for some bass. But as soon as I get out there and do that, I'm just bored out of my mind. I don't know why. I got to go chase my panfish or chase the walleye someplace. I just haven't got that bass fever in me yet.
Yeah.
Maybe someday. Um, so you finished second. Um, that's nothing to be. Um, how do you even say it? You got to be proud of yourself and what you accomplished. Your first time. There's some really good anglers and a lot of guys that have spent their whole lives fishing down south. Um, you and Jay and quite a few of the northern boys, and I think it comes down to the reason why you guys can go down there and kick some asses. We have to fish a lot of different ways up here. And you look at some of these Japanese anglers and stuff too. They're fishing a lot of pressured lakes over by them and then coming over here. I think it's just you know doing things out of the ordinary that most people don't do down south. Makes it more rewarding for you guys.
Yeah, I would probably have a little different mindset on some things, and and I don't know, work ethic too. Like if I can say one thing, like if you want to go fish the opens and try to make the elites or make a classic, you better damn well want it. Like want it more than anything. Otherwise, it's never going to work out. I've seen a lot of guys come and go in the short time that I've been doing it. I've been doing it for 3 years. This is my fourth year on the opens. It's it just comes down to a lot of work. Like you got to like driving for one, because you're going to spend half your life in your truck. Um, and then you got to be willing to, just put your head down, dark till dark every day of practice, and learn as much as you can and be smart about using it once competition starts. And I don't know. I'm an extremely competitive person, so I love it. I thrive for it. If me and you were going out on a boat tomorrow on the Wolf River walleye fishing, I'm sure we'd have a side bet or something going on. Like, you know how it is. Like,
Yeah.
you want to be the guy that catches the most at the end of the day. That's how it always is.
And I think this just plays true to all tournaments. Your home bodies of water should be your absolute best, but I don't I struggle. I mean, when it comes time to fishing the big tournaments, fishing our home water here, I just like what you said, fishing dark to dark. Even being in your backyard, we're still putting in the time, but it's just easy to go out there and I kind of know what's going on, and maybe get a little bit lazy and then just drive home. Whereas when you're on the road, you got nothing else better to do than to be out on the water. So why not be out on the water?
Right.
Do you see something like that with a lot of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are fishing dark to dark. That's not necessarily always my deal. Like one thing that I think I've learned that helps me, I'm gonna go pre-fish as long as I'm allowed to. Dark to dark, 4.5 days, whatever we have. But when it gets to the point where I'm not getting bit, I'm getting pissed off, I can't think, like everything is against you, get off the water and go back, do whatever. Go have a drink, go take a nap, just get away from it and clear your mind and go out the next day and start over on a clean slate. And I've learned to do that. Like if I'm having a bad day, dude, I'm out of here. I don't care what anybody says. I need to go clear my mind, and otherwise it's never going to get better. You're just going to keep digging yourself into more of a hole throughout the whole practice period, and the tournament rolls around and your brain is shot. You can't think straight. Fishing is a huge mental game. So you have to get over that stuff. And like, that's just one way that I've learned helps me. If it's not going well, I'm not going to learn anything else. Like, I might as well get off the water and go clear my head. So
I was gonna ask that. How much, for people that have never really tournament fished, the mental aspects, always second guessing yourself, you know, going back and fishing memories. There's so many different aspects mentally than just the, going out and looking at screens and trying to cast a fish and get them to eat. What are some of those mental challenges?
definitely the memory deal it's not good. Nothing ever happens twice on the water. Like, you'll never go catch them in the same place at the same time of year, at the same time of day, doing the same thing. That's never going to happen. So just like understanding that you have to keep an open mind is the biggest thing. Look at some of the greatest anglers in the world. Like Kevin Van Dam's always said it, like, it's always good to have a short-term memory. Like, if you can't remember what you did yesterday, that's awesome. I wish that was me. Because you literally, like, the tournaments where you can go out and start off fresh every day, those are your good ones. The ones where you're like, okay, I got 60 waypoints. I'm gonna, start here, and you go out with a whole game plan in your head. I'm gonna go here, here, here. If I don't catch one by 10 o'clock, I'm gonna run to this side of the lake. I'm gonna fish here, here, here. Like that, throw that away. Like, that's useless. Go out and, like, okay, like, I think I want to start here, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I'll let the fish tell me, okay, I got a bite on a jig, in a little deeper water. Okay, so I'm going to try to, hone in on that. Like, and the next day it'll be totally different. Like, it always changes. It's crazy.
Yeah. So your mom says, hold on, you are finally learning the lessons that your dad has been teaching you since you were young. He says, you're welcome.
A little hard-headed.
Oh,
See, think
awesome.
how good I could be if I actually listened.
Yeah. We all get there some point in our lives. Justin asks, how many different baits did you throw over the 3 days?
Not very many. During practice or the tournament?
He just asked during the 3 days of fishing, but I guess, all week, what were you throwing? What were the baits that you were doing well on, and what did you try and fail?
Yeah, I mean, all week I didn't have a lot on my deck. I had a couple of jigs, a couple spinner baits, jerk bait. I had a couple of square bills on the deck, and that's really it. Like, I didn't really screw around with much other than that. Grand Lake is historically a relatively shallow fishery. The water's usually stained all the time, so deep in that, like, catching them deep in that lake is, like, I feel like 15 to 20 feet is deep. Most of your fishing is going to be in less than 10 to 12. So, that's what I fished with during practice. I kind of had the same stuff out on the deck during the tournament. I caught a few on a Rapala Maverick jerkbait the first day, but I think I actually ended up calling those out later in the day. Mainly it was a spinner bait and a jig. I cover water on all these, like, chunk rock points with a spinner bait and grind that thing into the bottom, and then You know, if I was seeing any brush piles around or if I was targeting brush, then I would go to the jig and fish a jig on brush. But that was kind of about as old school simple as you can make it, a jig and a spinnerbait.
Nice. And were you using Mega Live the whole time?
Uh, I mean, I wasn't using it to like cast at a fish, and I've seen so many comments out there. I was actually scrolling through some YouTube videos that people put out there with me in the last couple weeks, and people are like, "Oh yeah, you're a great angler. Scan the spotlight over there and cast to it, and oh, it bit it and catch it." Like, whatever. I'm so tired of hearing that crap. Like, here's why I used my Mega Live. If I'm casting at a brush pile and I have the opportunity to use something that I can see the brush pile, know exactly how far away it is, and watch my jig go into it, why would I ever waste all those casts? So therefore, using Mega Live, I wasn't using it to put my bait right in front of a fish and watch it eat it, but I was using it to save time and be more efficient on the water.
Yep.
And if you're gonna fish a tournament and you don't care about being efficient, you're never gonna do well. So good luck.
I agree 100%. You know, this forward-facing sonar talk is getting way out of hand.
Dude,
I don't.
it wouldn't matter. Like if I didn't have forward facing sonar, I'd be staring at my 360. If I didn't have 360, I would be staring at my GPS casting at my waypoint that I marked when I side imaged it. Like no matter what, you're gonna be staring at a screen. And I don't understand where people are like, oh, this is all changed. It's terrible to watch. I I've been watching Bassmaster since I was a little kid. I never remembered seeing somebody, you know, facing the back of the boat, casting towards the camera, fishing backwards. Never. Everybody's always been in the front of the boat casting forward. Whether we had, you know, whatever for sonar, any of that. Like it's how it's always been. You've always looked at their back. That's just the way it's always been. I don't get why it's changed. Like everybody thinks it's changed.
Well, the whole let's talk about forward-facing sonar for a minute, because I mean everybody pretty much has it now. We sell, electronics, ice fishing flashers. There truthfully really isn't much difference with a flasher than a live scope, other than the fact that you're rotating a transducer in a different way. I mean, how many times have we taken our Markhams and rotated the transducer up and scanned an area and like, oh yeah, there's a pot of fish over there 60 feet. It's no different. I mean,
I
granted,
said
yeah,
I said this on
go
a
ahead.
podcast last night, the exact same thing. I'm like, flashers truly were the first forward facing sonar. Like when I'd ice fish, like I'd drop my puck down the hole and swing it. And I could see like everything around me. If I was looking for a stump or a brush pile or just, suspended fish, you'd learn how to swing your transducer and look, it's the same thing. Like that was out 100 years ago, however long ago a flasher came out. Like it's been
Yeah,
around forever.
exactly. Uh-oh. No, we've been doing that for 25 years. I've been taking my M5 or the LX3s back in the day. I had a stick that had it was just duct tape, one of my transducers at like a 45-degree angle that I could put that thing in the water and rotate it. And I know back in, even before that, the guys on the Mississippi, these commercial fishermen that would go and net for carp, would have their FL8 transducers on a 90-degree pole that they would drop it down and rotate it till they seen the big pods of carp, and that's how they go find them. So, guys, we've just kind of reinvented the wheel is all we've done. Nothing's
Yeah.
really changed. And granted, the technology is a lot better. It's a lot cooler to watch. The Mega Live and the Live Scope stuff. But at the end of the day, you still got to make these fish eat, and they don't eat all the time. I've got a Mega Live on my boat, and when I'm river fishing, like on the Wolf, I haven't turned it on once. Use the side imaging. You find a pot of fish, anchor up, and just start casting that pot of fish. I don't have to use forward facing sonar in circumstances like that. Ice fishing, sure, we use it, we see it, it's cool, but I've been out there many days. I'm sure you have too, where you can watch them all day long and they don't eat. And that forward
Yeah.
facing sonar is not going to make them eat. You still have to catch these fish. So, all this, it's changed fishing and this and that. And it's taught us a lot more. I mean, I've learned, what I used to think was, fun watching a camera in correlation with a flasher, and you could tell how these bluegills and walleyes and white bass or whatever you were watching, how they reacted by watching them on the camera and your flasher at the same time. And then pretty soon you don't even need the camera anymore because you know exactly what those fish are doing, just how they're showing up on the flasher. So it was one of those things where great technology, you use it, and it taught us a lot, and we became better anglers for it. That's all this forward facing sonar is doing, is it's teaching us things that we just didn't know, especially when it comes time to these deep water fish, like out on the bay or down here by me on Green Lake or Geneva, and some of these guys that have really, figured out how to find these walleyes and stuff that are suspending over, 70, 80 feet
Hmm.
without, some sort of sonar to be able to find that. You just don't even know that those fish really exist.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. It's another tool. Um, I've done it to myself. You can hurt yourself by looking at them when they don't want to bite. Like you can waste way too much time there and they don't bite. It's a tool. Like if people think that that's what we rely on, like 100% of the time, like it's that easy. You throw a lure over there and put it in front of them and they eat it. That is 100% not the case.
It
It's
work, they see it when it works, but they don't see the other 90%
yeah,
of the time when it's not working.
yeah. And typically, like I've been on a couple of live scope bites where, in all honesty, to catch 5 bass, you probably put your bait in front of 100 to 120 of them to get 5 to bite. It's not like you cast at every one and they magically, oh, look at that, a minnow, swim over and eat it. It's not like that.
What do you mean?
So
That's what everybody thinks it is.
yeah, that's what TV says it is. Yeah, it's I use it as a tool. Like there's a lot of times I shut it off. Like when I won down at Eufaula a couple months ago, they were so belly to the bottom there because the water was still cold. You couldn't see them on forward facing sonar, but I could see them on my 360. Um, that helped me win there. I could see them like on shell bars. I knew that when I pulled up, I knew whether or not I should even make a cast. Okay, there's 5 or 6 on this bar. I'll fish them and then move on to the next one. Like you could see them on Mega 360. So live's not always the answer. Um, it's all the tools that are out there to help you catch
Yep.
fish. And I have a lot of people ask me, they're like, all right, your honest opinion. I can buy a 360 or a Mega Live. I have $1,500. Which one should I get? Go buy a Mega 360. That will
100%.
that will teach you more and get you casting at the sweet spots on the structure more than forward facing ever would. And it's one of those things that's like being forgotten. I mean, you know how much you and I have used it on Lake Poygan and Winnebago looking for schools of fish. I mean, drop it down the hole, let it rotate once. If you see them, you go that way. If you don't, you go drill another hole. It
Yep.
just makes you more efficient on the water.
It's You took the words out of my mouth there. Yeah, I get that question a lot, and I am lost without my 360. I mean, that is like the one tool that I have to have, whether it be on the ice or in the boat. I swear by that 360. You learn a lot. You can, especially when it comes time to ice fishing. If we don't see any fish, we don't fish. I mean, period. We've gotten that reliant on electronics that without it, I don't even want to really go out and fish. I mean, if I forget it or my battery dies, I'm like, I'll piss on it. I'm just going home.
Right?
It's a bad state of mind, but I tell you what, when you're fishing big open water basins and you can't see what's going on around you, it's not fun.
Yeah. Just yeah. I mean, think about sitting on Lake Poigan. You're in 4 to 6 feet of water most of the time. Like you're looking at a circle like that big. You
Yep.
put 360 down, I can look, 150 or 200 feet around me and see what's going on. I mean, if I had to drill enough holes to cover everything with a cone that big, it'd take me a week to do what I could do by drilling one hole. Um, it's crazy.
Yeah. Um, so, again, if you had to take your pick, you would definitely say 360 over a live, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Now, with your Mega Live, do you fish that in perspective mode at all or landscape view?
I've been messing around with it more. I haven't used it a ton, but I got smoked in Florida by people putting it in landscape or perspective when they're spawning. So definitely one thing I need to spend more time using, and I've been using it a little bit. It's not it's not something you want to use to look a great distance, but if you want to look at what's happening, you know, dang near 180 degrees in front of your boat out to 40, 50, maybe 60 feet away, it's the deal for that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's one thing I haven't figured out how to really. I haven't spent enough time doing it. The times when we do use it on the ice, stupid transducer doesn't fit down an 8-inch hole in that landscape mode. So that's kind
yeah,
of a crappy part of that whole deal.
yeah, it's cool. Like your boat can't be moving, like you want your boat to be stationary and you can sit and watch them. Like I'll watch them on the bay, like smallmouth just cruising in and out, like down a transition line. Like you can just watch them swim back and forth on it. And like that's where I've started like learning what I'm seeing. Like I'll pull up on a spot where I can physically see them and then put my graph on and okay, like now I know what I'm looking at. That's the best way to learn it. You can actually physically see them, and then you look on your electronics, like put two and two together. You know exactly what they're doing.
Yep. So I've been seeing a lot of whether you're a Humminbird guy or a Garmin guy or a Lowrance guy, the days of being Humminbird only are pretty much over. A lot of these guys are running either a Garmin or a Lowrance, in correlation with the Humminbird stuff. What's the reasoning for that?
You can't catch fish unless you have a Garmin. I don't know. I don't have any issues with my Humminbird. Like I've had guys like, I can't believe you don't have a Garmin on your boat. Like I can see my jig, 80, 90 feet out. I can watch it sink down. I can see the fish. I can watch them bite it. I don't know what more you need. I don't understand it. Um,
Yep.
I mean, I will say I've fished with some guys that have Garmin's, and I would say like as far as user friendly, they're probably a little bit better. I mean, you can just turn it on, put everything to auto, and it works fine. You do have to mess with the Humminbird a little bit and with your
Yep.
sensitivity contrast. But if you take the time to learn it, as you should any piece of electronics in your boat, you can get it dialed in and it works just fine.
Yeah, I mean, again, you just playing around with it, changing settings, and getting yourself familiarized with what each thing does. You definitely can. I've seen some that are like, what are you doing? I mean, you have no idea what you have set up right now. Let me play around with this for a little bit, and you adjust everything, and it's looking good again. So,
Yeah, it changes so much with water temperature and water clarity too, like the amount of sediment in the water. Like you have to keep all that in mind. Like once you set it up and you go to a different lake, it doesn't mean it's going to be fine on that lake. Like you need to
yeah,
still adjust things. When the water's colder, it's more dense. 50-degree water versus 60-degree water makes a huge difference in how it's going to be set up. So you have to keep all that in mind.
yep. Um, so after the classic here, all the crazy publicity and stuff, what's been the most memorable thing so far that's come out of the classic?
Oh man, there's been so much stuff going on. I guess like the craziest thing's been we went to Table Rock after the classic for a week. The kids had spring break, went and hung out there. I sat on my phone the whole time. We drove back on this last Sunday, and I'm driving through the middle of Illinois, whatever, just going 80 miles an hour, zoned out. I've been driving for 7 hours already. And I look over, like out of the corner of my eye, and there's a red truck, like right up next to my door. I'm like, whatever, just keep driving. And then, like, the guy's still there. And I look over, and his wife is like, woo, like thumbs up. And like, he's got no hands on the wheel. He's thumbs up. And like, they're just all jacked up. And I'm like, dude, put your hands back on the wheel. You're going to drive off the road. Just seeing stuff like that, like the fans that I had like 4 or 5 people pull up that day, like just thumbs up at me, like saw the truck wrap and the boat wrap and knew who I was. That's pretty dang cool that a lot of people didn't know me, and now a lot of people do know me, or at least know who I am. It's
That's
crazy how
scary in a way.
it's crazy how one tournament has changed all of that. I mean, a lot of guys from like Wisconsin, the Midwest know who I am, but you get down south and I'm just another northerner. But that's all. I feel like that's all changed now. So, pretty cool.
Well, you're the real deal, man. I mean, it's super cool to watch you. How you've progressed in very short time. I mean, you got to be a hell of an angler to be able to do what you do. It just doesn't come easy, and to run with the big boys, not only down at the opens and at the classic, but I mean, you're doing it nationwide, and you're still a little dangerous up here too. So hats off to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and you'll you'll go far. How long do you think you can fish?
Till they wheel me into a nursing home or I die, I don't know. I don't plan on quitting anytime soon. Um, yeah, dude, I might try to Rick Clunn it. Like, what is he, 79 or something? Crazy.
Unbelievable.
He's been fishing on the BASS circuit for 50 years. This is a 50th year of competition. I'm not even 50 years old yet. Like, it's just crazy to look at guys like that. But as long as you still have the drive and you can, physically do it, I'm gonna keep doing it as long as I can. I'm not quitting. You're not gonna see me quitting until I'll make the Elite Series. Just watch. I'm not. There's no quitting until I get there. It will happen.
Yep.
I'm looking forward
I
to
always,
it.
people always ask me that same thing too, guiding, right? We've been doing this will be 24 years, 25 years, I think, for me guiding. And people always ask, like, how long are you going to do it? When, does it ever stop being fun? And the day it stops being fun is the day I'll quit.
Right.
Because it just goes to show you know, when you're out in a boat, and granted, we all have bad days, but I think that's what makes some guides better and fishermen better is the fact that, you're not only a fisherman, but you're an entertainer, and you got to make sure people are having a good day, whether the fish are biting or not. And they don't bite every day. I mean, you know that, I know that. But people that
Yeah,
only fish once or twice a year, they expect that, and you just gotta make it enjoyable. And when I can't do that anymore, that'll be time to hang it up. But right now, I feel like I'm in the prime, man. I'm enjoying every day. Um, it's so enjoyable to go out and just be with people, be on the water, and fish. Whether you catch them or not, that's always a bonus. But yeah, it's enjoyable, and I've got a young guy that's actually going to be doing some tournament fishing with me this year, and I've kind of got a whole new drive to go out and kind of kick some ass doing some tournament stuff. So, just the local stuff around here. Problem with me, with guiding and having the kids and everything is I can't travel as much as I would love to. Trying to be away from home is just too much when you got all these rugrats running around. The wife
oh,
has
I
a
hear,
traveling job, and she's gone, and for me to be gone too, it makes it pretty difficult.
I hear you there. I'm in the same boat. It's not easy. Um, yeah, I've got four daughters, and it's not easy being gone all the time. But I think one cool thing after this last week at the classic, like my older kids, like they understood it. Like they saw like why I do this.
Yep.
So that means a lot. So yeah, it's not easy being gone all the time. It takes some dedication. Your family has to get it. Your wife for sure has to understand it. Otherwise, it'll never work. If you're stressed out about things at home when you're on the road, it's not going to work out. So
You can't focus.
I'm fortunate enough to be, when I leave, I know everything's going to be fine until I get back home and I don't have to worry about it. If I had to worry about it, I wouldn't be where I am right now. I can tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, Allie's she's a saint, man. And you got two beautiful daughters with her too, and I love watching the kids grow up. And our your two older ones are kind of at my middle age ones too, and yeah, we've both been down that. The divorce rate, unfortunately, with professional fishermen is not the best. Hate to say it, and it's nothing to be proud of, but it's just it's tough, man. A lot of people don't understand how tough it is on the family life, and until you do it, until it's everybody thinks. And I can remember even when I first started, and you'd go off and we'd be doing tournaments, or we'd be guiding on the weekends during a wedding or a birthday party, or whatever, and they just, he's just off fishing again, he's just off fishing again. You guys work swing shifts over the weekends going to work. I don't tell you that, oh, you're just going to work again. It's work. I mean, that is the job, that it is a job. And
Yeah,
that's the career path that we've chosen. And once you get into it, granted, it's not for everybody, but once you get into it, it's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle. I mean, it's who you are. It's, you can't take that out of out of a fisherman like this. You just can't just all of a sudden one day try and quit. And yeah,
yeah.
I think I'd go stir crazy. You'd have to admit me into a hospital someplace.
Can you imagine going to work a 9 to 5er?
Yeah, no.
There's no way. I'd rather get beat down for 18 hours a day guiding on the water than go work a 9 to 5 job.
Yep.
Uh,
I tried for all of about 6 months. I went and got a 9 to 5 job, and it's like, nope, ain't gonna happen.
yep.
Can't do it.
Yeah,
Um,
I know a few people that have been in the industry and they quit and went to do that, and it didn't take very long and they were back to what they were doing, guiding or
yeah,
tournament fishing, whatever it may have been.
it it's so hard to explain to people that it's not just fishing. I mean, it's so much more than fishing that I don't know. It's hard to explain till you do it, and do it as long as what we've been doing it. We've made a career, and I know you've seen it. I've seen it. So many people, 20 some years of doing this, how many people have come and gone, and we're still here. So I like to think we're doing something right. Because we've been doing it for so long, it's been a blessing. I can't take anything away from that.
Oh man, we're just too dumb to quit.
It sure isn't about the money, that much I can tell you.
No, no, yeah, we're not. You're not getting rich doing it. Too dumb to quit. That's my saying on it. I wouldn't have it any other way though. I love what I do. I love that I get to share my time in the boat with other people and make memories for them. And then now I get time to go and make my own memories. Pretty fortunate to be able to do what I do. And I've done it for this will be my 21st year. Done it since I was 18. I
Yep.
think my mother's probably had some doubts about it, but I think she changed her mind now. So
She's gonna tell you that it's
yeah,
all your dad.
yeah, I'm waiting for the comment to pop up now.
Yeah. um. So what? Fisher, my boys, I do have a question. Do they give you someone to drive you through the weigh-in?
Yeah. So we're allowed to have a caddy. It's an hour and a half drive to the lake. So I had a buddy of mine drive me there and back each day just so I could just kind of relax and clear my head. And then we get back to the boatyard, which is just down it's like maybe 2 blocks from the arena. We drop our boats. If you have a Toyota, you can take your truck and your boat through the arena, but otherwise they bring a truck down, hook up to your boat, and you have a guy that pulls you through the arena.
So uh, you have to have a Toyota to drive through the arena?
Yeah, just because Toyota sponsors BASS.
Okay,
So if you don't, they supply one for you.
gotcha. Okay, that's why I didn't see your truck.
Yep.
Gotcha. Did not know that. What are, speaking of that, is there any other like crazy behind the scenes thing that people don't really know about?
Mm, a lot of interviews. We get like if you're doing well, you get off stage from weighing in, they grab you and walk you down a hallway. I remember the first day one, I had 19 something, so I got pulled down this hallway right away, and I'm like, all right, like where am I going? And they're like, sit in this chair
Piss in a
until they
cup.
come. Sit in this chair until they come and get you. I'm like, okay, like, has anybody got a water or anything? Like, you're sitting there, and then here comes Ronnie Moore, and he grabs you, and you go do some interviews. Um, and then after that, they haul you to another room, and then you're sitting with Davey Height and Mark Zona and Tommy Sanders, and they're drilling you for information. And then they grab you from there, and they haul you to another room, and then there's like 30 people from the media there that want to talk to you. So it's like like I don't know. You weigh-in started at 5 o'clock, maybe a little after. Dude, I didn't get out of there till like 9:30 every night.
Holy buckets.
It's
And then you still got to get back and rig and get ready for the morning.
I was smart enough. I've had a few buddies that have fished it before. They're like, when you're waiting for them to hook the truck up and pull you back there, like get your stuff done, get your rods rigged, get your boat ready for the next day. Because if you do well, you're not getting out of there until late. So I had all that stuff done, and then it's by that point, it's like I don't even want to eat or anything. Just put me to bed, and then you get up at 3:30 and do it all over again. But it's so exciting. You're just running off of pure adrenaline the whole time.
I
Um,
bet. I bet.
I think
How
I
hard?
think it was. Go ahead.
I say, how hard was it for you to sleep after day one and day two?
Yeah, I didn't sleep. Here, funny story.
Were you
So
were you staying at with Allie?
no, her and the kids got a different place. We actually had like 3 houses rented down there, so everybody stayed
Yep.
elsewhere. I stayed at the hotel. I just kind of knew that like I wanted to be left alone. I wanted to be able to sleep at night. Didn't need like, Avery getting up and then I wake up. Like we knew it was important that I get some sleep, the little bit that I was gonna get. So they stayed at a house with a pool and all that good stuff, and then I just stayed right at the hotel where everything went
Were you
out
guys
of.
closer to the launch?
A little bit, yeah. So funny story, the last day of the tournament, Sunday, everything's done, interviews are done. It's like whatever, 9:30, come strolling into the hotel. She's sitting there with a cocktail for me, like, congratulations, good job. Like, go have some fun, go hang out with your buddies. So, I mean, everybody's coming up to talk to you and wants pictures, and it's crazy busy. We all end up down at the bar. Got kicked out of there at bar close. Allie stayed at the hotel that night. I come stumbling in at 2 o'clock in the morning, and 4 a.m., like no alarm, anything. I just wake up at 4 o'clock and like I'm getting dressed, like put my wallet in and phone, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Like, I gotta go to the lake, like got a derby today. I thought we had one more day to fish. She's like, "Get your ass back in bed, you're done. The tournament's done." Like, no, I want one more day.
Oh,
So yeah, that's how committed I was to that. Like I was ready to go fish one more day. uh, Crazy.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm sure you've had it where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're talking about fishing, and it's always on your mind. But yeah, that
Yeah,
was a good one.
my
I've
wife never
never
understands it.
I've never done that before. That's a first for me. I've never got up at 4 o'clock in the morning randomly and just started getting dressed to go fishing.
Oh. Yeah, I always, I get done guiding and come home and the kids are, outside playing. I'm like, hey, let's jump in the boat, let's go fishing. And, the wife's usually like, you just got done on the water. Why, how can you go out some more? It's like, it's what we do, man. And now that Xander's getting to be, that kid, all he wants to do is just, he wants to fish. So I can't wait for him to get out this summer and maybe we'll turn him into a little bass angler. And I know we've got a few fish in the pond in the backyard too. I'm trying to get him to catch some or fish in the back pond and learn how to cast and, just do all the basics. And
Yep.
it's fun teaching him.
Oh, that's awesome. He's got the bug. That's good.
Yeah. Um, so what's next?
Uh, Head to Alabama in a few weeks and fish another open, come home, fish the 2 Sturgeon Bay tournaments. A couple in June, couple in July, couple in August, couple in September, couple in October, one in November, and then I don't know, go sit in a tree stand and shut my phone off for a few weeks, and then get
Yeah.
back after it again. So,
What are there any close tournaments for you this or any of the opens closest this summer?
yeah, this year they actually gave us kind of a true northern division. So we go to St. Clair in July. We go
Ooh,
to
that'd be fun.
Yeah, Leech Lake in August, and then we fish at La Crosse on the Mississippi River in September. So I've got 3 this year that are less than 8 hours, which I'm pretty stoked about.
Oh, that St. Clair bite will be right up your alley. I mean, that's
Should
our
be
type of
should be
fishing.
good. I've never been there, but and that place is unreal. If you watch like the last two times the elites were there, that place is a factory, so it's going to be fun no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I see you got a couple new sponsors this year. Who's your big sponsor that you got following you around?
Soda Sense is my title sponsor this year. They're from right here in Green Bay. So anybody that has like an in-home soda machine, they take the big CO2 bottles. They actually have a refill program. If you need bottles, you can purchase new ones from them. Otherwise, they have a deal where they can set you up on a delivery program where every month you get two bottles in the mail, and you put your old bottles back in the mail with a packing slip and mail it back, and they'll refill those and send them. You just keep swapping them out throughout the year. So
Yeah, I looked. They were like, aren't they from Seymour or something?
yeah, yep,
Nice.
yeah.
Who else? You get any other big sponsors or new sponsors this year?
Um, Whitewater Clothing is a new one. Powerhouse Lithium. I started with those guys about halfway through the season last year. They make some awesome lithium batteries, 16 volt for electronics. That's the deal. Gives you enough voltage that you have a clear picture, clear crisp picture all day long. Uh, Partially probably why my Mega Live works better than a lot of people say theirs do. You put more
Yep.
power to it, and it's a cleaner picture. But yeah, that's really it for new ones. I'm just staring at the boat right now. Crush City, Rapala. I've been with those. I've been with Rapala for a long time. 13 Fishing, Humminbird, Minn Kota, um, Vexus. I've been running a Vexus for this will be my fifth season. I've been with them since day one, and yeah, rely on the old Mercury to push me around everywhere I go, and never have any issues with that either. So I work with some awesome companies that, I'm very thankful to have all of them behind me.
That's awesome. Yeah, again, the support from everybody is what makes or breaks some guys, and you got a good group of guys that you're fishing with. So, congratulations, man. And then you're still doing some guiding, right?
Yeah, yep. Still, I probably got 5 or 6 days left this spring for bass trips that are open. Um, we're still doing the salmon deal. If I'm not around, Trent, my right hand man, he'll take care of whoever would like to get out. So he's pretty much owning the salmon deal now. He doesn't even let me drive the boat anymore when I get on it. So, um, but yeah, if I'm not around, Trent's around, and we're still doing the walleye, bass, and salmon and trout, and maybe one of these years we'll get some ice and we get to go ice fishing again. It's been a couple of years.
You need to come down and go. We need to go bomb Poigan again for a day.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I miss
It,
fishing down there.
that's such a fun lake to fish. I mean, it's we've killed a lot of fish on that lake. That one day
Yeah.
that you, Phil, who else was with us that day? Um, oh
Oh man.
man,
Oh, I think Brad Yakush is with us. Maybe one
I
of his
that picture
buddies.
comes up all the time, and with all those fish laying on the ice. We had walleyes and white bass, and my God, that was a fun day.
Yeah, we greased like 3 sleds full of white bass. I didn't even know they tasted good. You're like, keep every one of those things. Like, for one, we need to get rid of some out of this lake, and two, they're dang good. And yeah, man, once you taught me how to clean those, it's a good eating fish, and they're a blast to catch. Like, I'd rather catch those than walleyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here I thought, okay, spring's gonna go early, it's 70 degrees and early March. These fish are gonna be spawned out. All my May trips that I have booked for white bass, they're gonna be it's going to be done. They're going to come up here in May and we're not going to have any fish because water is going to be too warm and fish will be spawned out. So I'm glad now that we finally got some cooler weather and slowed things down, because the way it was going, man, I thought for sure it was just going to be a quick early spring, and then it would have been what do we do? Where are all
Yeah.
these fish? But
No, that
I don't
never
know.
happens. It'll be snowing in May, I promise you that.
Yeah.
It'll be one
Well,
of those years.
13 straight years we've had snow the week of my birthday, and that's 21st of April. And we're going to continue that trend. I feel it. I
Yep.
hope I'm wrong. I hope it's warm and sunny, but never is.
No, I
We got to
remember.
get you. Have you come down? Have you ever done the white bass run on the river?
Oh man, a long, long time ago when I was a kid, me and my dad, and a couple other guys went over and did it.
You got to come down, and when we're fishing these flies, catching 3 at a time. Oh my God. I don't think there's any more fun. I mean, that is by far my favorite time of the year. Take every type of fish you could possibly fish. And when that run is going and we're catching 2, 3 at a time, like every cast, there's nothing
That's
more fun than
crazy.
that.
That
It's
would
a
be
ball.
fun. Heck yeah.
Well, Adam, I know it's getting late. I'm gonna talk a little bit of fishing reports here with the guys, and I'll let you be. I appreciate you joining me, and good luck the rest of the year. Hopefully, we see you back next year at the Classic, but we'll follow you throughout the season, and safe travels to you, and say hi to Allie and the kids, and keep going, man.
Absolutely, bud. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun. We'll
Yeah,
be in touch.
sounds good. Yeah, we got to get out and fish at least once this summer. It's been a while.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta come up. I actually gotta come up and see Howie's here one of these days. They're looking at possibly bringing in the 2B Elliott rods. So once I find out when I'm heading up, I'll shoot you a message or something and see if you're around, if you're going out.
Yeah, let me know when you're coming up this way. We'll be here.
All right, man. Cool, bud.
All
Well,
right, bud.
congrats again, and we'll catch you later.
Sounds good. See you, bud.
See ya. All right. Well, again, congratulations, Adam. If nobody's just kind of tuning in and didn't know who Adam was, he's been a longtime friend and guide that we fished together for a lot of years. Grew up fishing up around the Wausau area, and then moved to Sturgeon Bay, and been doing a bunch of salmon and walleye and bass up there. They got the Salmon Depot charters, and then the Adam Rasmussen Outdoors if you're looking to get up on the bay and do some fishing with him. Definitely worth the while. If you get a chance, fish with him, you won't regret it. The guy's a wealth of knowledge, hell of a stick, and there's a reason why he's where he's at. So good job, man. Thanks for coming on tonight. I know you've been doing a lot of these podcasts, and it was just cool to talk to you face to face. But let's talk fishing reports. The Wolf River, Fox River up in Green Bay. Obviously, the water's coming up. The water's come up a lot actually on the Wolf. With all this snow and rain, and then with the stuff last week. The stuff last week brought up the river probably 2.5 feet, I'd say, and it's been coming up every day. The only drawback is now with this recent snow and rain, it dropped the water temperature a ton. But looking at the forecast here, it's going to get warm back up into the 60s. I think we're going to be above normal here next week, so that'll really help. I fully expect these fish to start dumping eggs probably next week. There's been quite a few spawned out females already, and now you're going to start to see, a few more. But uh, really, guys, the fish are everywhere in this system right now, whether it be Oshkosh, Winneconne, the Wolf, Fremont, all the way up to New London, Shiocton. Every spot we have gone to fish, we found fish and caught them. Again, we're doing stuff a lot differently than what most guys are, I see a lot of guys anchoring up and pumping jigs and vertical jigging, drifting down through some of the deeper holes. But I'm telling you, I've been doing a lot of fly tying or in tying hair jigs and stuff like that. And um, we're just using our electronics. We're driving up and down the river, and we're looking for shallow spots, especially when the sun's out. You get up on some of these shallow sandbars. Up, now we've been going up further, from gills and wylands and getting into some of those areas where a lot of the trees are. We're going back talking about water temperature again. What happens when the sun, whether we're crappie fishing in the channels or bass fishing or bluegill fishing or anything that warms the water up is where these fish are going to be. So granted, you could have nice shallow sand flats, but now as that water's coming up, and we've got colder water, those shallow areas that we've been fishing over the last couple of weeks are gone. Now that water is up a lot higher, and we're gonna have to find some new areas. And what we're finding is just like when we go crappie fishing in the springtime, that sun hits those trees and those trees absorb energy and they get warm. And what'll happen is as that day progresses, the trees warm up and that water temperature and that'll be a little bit warmer around those trees, especially when there's all kinds of deadfalls over some of these shallow areas. You get right up in there, use your side imaging, and you can just see the tons of fish that are sitting up into these trees. Yeah, you're going to lose a few jigs. I mean, it's part of the deal. But you get up there and you start casting up into these trees, up in these shallows, and it's been incredible. And then what happens there too is as the day goes on and that sun warms up all those trees and the sun starts to set, that wood is holding all that heat yet, and towards the evening those fish are just still staying up into those trees. And I see so many guys going out and fishing deeper water. And sure, again, there's fish everywhere in the system. You're going to get some fish deeper, but I'm telling you, the fun bite and the more active fish for us, have been up in the trees or up in the shallow water. I don't know if I've really spent much time fishing, anything deeper than 4 feet. Everything has been, 2.5, 3 feet of water. For a while there, we were fishing like a foot and a half, 2 feet of water, before this water came up, before the river came up. We were fishing some pretty shallow areas and the fish hadn't moved. I mean, they were sitting there for weeks, and now we're finally starting to see a little bit of push. Some fish are definitely starting to move up, especially when the little wolf started dumping out. The amount of current that thing was throwing was crazy. And once you got up towards the New London, south of New London, in between like Goose and New London up there, the current was a lot stronger, and the fish were definitely pushed out to the sides. And finding slack water was key. Slack water and shallower, warmer water was definitely the key. But again, throwing a lot of hair jigs and the typical walleye colors. The purple chartreuses. We've kind of figured out a little bit on frog patterns too. Stuff that resembles the frogs, because now, especially with this water coming up and probably getting up into these trees, I suspect that these frogs will start chirping here next week. And we were getting some fish actually fishing some frog baits, and you just got to match the hatch. Whatever they're eating is what you should start throwing or try to look at. But the white bass, for guys that I get a lot of questions about white bass and haven't seen any yet. It's still pretty cold. I suspect we'll probably get right back on track to where the white bass and stuff are at. So my guess will be a couple of weeks here, which is a good thing, because I was getting a little nervous on everybody that has trips booked in May that we were going to have any fish in the river. But looks like the water's going to come up nice, and we'll have some good water. Temperatures will be just right, and looks like we'll have a good white bass season. So looking forward to that as well. Now up north, up in Green Bay and the Fox, the water coming up, getting some flow into these tribs are definitely going to start pulling some walleyes up into the river. So everything's I think is going to really happen here this next week. If you've got some time and you want to get out, next week is going to be the time to get out and fish. And the water's going to start warming up. Fish are going to start coming into these rivers and doing their thing. And it may be pretty quick. These fish may come up and spawn and turn right back around and get the heck out of there and head back to the lake. So I know up in Green Bay, the water's still pretty cold up north, and there's a few fish up into the rivers, nothing hot and heavy as of yet. But then again, hasn't been a whole lot of guys fishing up in like the Peshtigo and stuff because the water's been so low. It's just so hard to get up in there. Got more guys waiting and stuff like that. And I've been talking to a few guys, and just hasn't been on fire yet. So I think that's going to happen here in the next 2 weeks. So again, if you're looking to get out, let me know. We've got openings, couple weekend days left, and definitely some stuff during the week. But great time to get out and fish. If you're looking for trophies, go up to the bay. If you're looking for eaters, the Wolf River has been a lot of fun. I'd love to teach you guys some of these, shallow water tactics that we're doing. It's a little bit out of the ordinary, and it's more, a bass style of fishing than what you would typically see guys doing for walleyes. Something I've just kind of figured out over the years, and it's been working for me, and we'll continue to do it until we have to change things up a little bit. But that's all I got for you. The lake, again, once we start seeing some warmer temperatures and the water to come up, trying to get my boat into some of these channels and some of the landings out on Winnebago just isn't feasible right now. And I really want to get out and try chasing some of the panfish, but with the low water, it's pretty dangerous to go run some of these big boats up into the channel. So waiting for the water to come up there. For anybody that is out by Waushara-Waupaca County, I am looking if anybody's got any bears running around. I've got my bear tag this year, just throwing it out there. I'd love to come and check it out and do some baiting here and see if we can't shoot a bear this fall. First time I've ever got a tag for bear hunting, so I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully it'll be a little bit less dramatic than what the sturgeon spearing or having my sturgeon tag up on the upper lakes. Not even being able to really get the chance to use that, so that kind of sucked. But I fully plan on trying to tackle the whole bear thing this summer, and be nice to see if we can't get one right here local. Boy, other than that, I don't have much of anything. Upcoming shows. So April 18th is the day we're going to do the Ask a Game Warden. I've got 2 wardens that will be on with us. You can two different ways you can go about it. You can reply to the post that's on the event and ask your questions there, and then we'll read them off. Otherwise, you can ask live that night. We'll have, like I say, 2 guys on. We are going to do it. I believe it's a Thursday, April 18th, and we're going to a different time frame. We're going to do 6 to 7 that night. So I'll keep everybody posted and just keep everybody updated on and remind everybody that it's going to be a Thursday and from 6 until 7. These guys are so busy trying to get these guys pinned down and get a time has been very difficult, but I've been pretty persistent, and I want to have them on and have everybody, chime in and ask away. This is going to be our time to get some answers. I've got a whole bunch of questions myself, and it'll be good to get some clarification on some things. So really looking forward to that. I guess that's it. I hope everybody had a great Easter, and just looking forward to some warm weather and getting rid of the snow and getting back out on the river here this weekend. So if you see me, say hi, and we'll be out there. But that's it, guys. Again, thanks, Adam, and thanks everybody for tuning in. We will catch you next week. I don't know who we'll have on next week, but we'll try and find somebody, and should be good. If not, maybe we'll be out on the raft. I'm trying to get out on one of my friends' rafts here, and maybe we'll do a live broadcast from the raft one night. So that's all I got. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the water.